Hello, 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 and welcome to another live show. Good to have you all here watching from wherever you're watching from there. I was showing it off on the map a little bit before we kick things off, so we can come back to that a little later if a few more locations come in. But as always, let me know if you can hear and see me just fine. And if you have any questions specifically that you would like me to answer and see properly on the screen, then do try to include @HereToRecord on there, the channel name. That is very helpful. It makes it appear in a special list on my graphics tool here. Today we're going to jump into all sorts of fun stuff. I've got the BirdDog Play on the table. I ordered it a few months ago and it finally came this week. I also have some Companion V3 fun to play with. And what else? I have some new H2R Gear pricing, and I have a special helper who has been helping me in the studio for a few of these live shows already, or plenty of these live shows already. But she is mic'd up today, and I'll let her introduce herself. Hello, who's over there?
Hello, my name is Sanne, and I am John Barker's wife. And I can see him looking at me over there. Hello.
Nice.
And I will be I will be reading the questions out loud. It's going well so far.
It's going well so far.
I'm hoping it will be better. So
I'm sure it will. So we will we'll come back to you later whenever we have some questions as the show goes on. But yeah, so mostly what I wanted to launch into today was the BirdDog Play, since it's here on the table and ready to play around with. Like I said, I ordered this in December, and the idea behind this little box here is that it is a NDI HDMI NDI device. So it's almost like an Apple TV style box, which will sit in my rack case behind me. And in terms of I/O, it has a HDMI output for displaying content, a USB for power, and then a network connection so you can plug it into your actual network. It also has a USB on the side here and an audio output, I believe. I actually haven't played with these yet, so I'm not entirely sure what they do yet. And then on the front, there's a little on-off switch and an IR receiver, and a tiny little LED there so you can see if something's happening on the device. And the idea being behind this product is that you can pop it on your network, connect the HDMI output to, for example, your ATEM or your whatever you want to connect it to, a TV maybe, and then you can send an NDI feed through your network to this device and display it on a monitor in the room. On a live stream, I actually have an NDI feed coming through it right now, and if I hit that and that, so right now you're looking at this little display output from the BirdDog. It's playing back this NDI feed, which I'm feeding through vMix. It went black there for a second, but that's because the video got to the end and it restarted as well. So you're watching that NDI feed through the BirdDog Play. So where to begin? Well, I guess we've already begun. The device, when you plug it in, it pops up a little QR code for you to scan and get access to. I took a photo of it here, so I'm just trying to find it on my phone. Where is it? There it is. So it on the monitor display, I'll show you this on just real quick on the overhead camera. But it showed a little QR code so you could actually download a little help guide. But it also showed the IP address of the Play device, which is what I will use to take a look at the software that's sort of built into the device. So here, I am over on, not that one, this one. Yeah, over on my PC here, I have the BirdDog connected up, and let me see. Yeah, so it just has this little web UI here. I'm on the IP address that I showed you before there, and what I'm able to do is take a look in the dashboard and see the status of the device. The CPU has already popped up to 81%, and I'm only playing back, or 84% now. I'm only playing back a 1080p video here, so I'd be interested to see how a 4K video plays back on this. I just don't have it set up right now for that to work. And And I'm also using a stream from my vMix setup. So in the AV setup here, I just jumped into this before the show just to make sure it all worked. And I would have some sort of demo to show. In fact, it didn't work right away. I had plugged in some random power brick or wall wart, whatever you call them, into it, and the little LED was just flashing. So I ended up having to fish out a pretty a small one that came with an old iPhone or something, and that worked nicely. So I'm glad I did that and didn't try to do it live on the show and then was running around the building trying to find cables and connections and stuff. Yeah, so in this case I'll just zoom in a little bit so it's a bit easier to see here. I have set it up for the source on my network, vMix output 3. In fact, it is listening for all NDI feeds running through the network here. So I have the BirdDog camera that you saw, which I'm using as my wide out of focus shot there. This PC has some NDI stuff built in or running through it. And then I have a couple of vMix outputs as well. And then it works. If I show you the, actually I could just go to vMix real quick. I don't have much in here. This is what I use for my graphics for the live stream, but I have set up an external NDI output in vMix, and then I'm just triggering what is being sent out of that NDI output. So right now, like I said there, you could see the this feed coming from vMix, but I could change it to be the first video on the list there, which is me just sort of nodding along, and now I have another NDI feed running. This will be nice for just a camera, like an NDI camera that I want to bring into my ATEM, for example. That's basically how I've set it up right now. It's coming out of the box here, HDMI out, and that is going into like an ATEM SDI Pro that's just off on the side there. I am having to convert it, of course, from HDMI to SDI to bring it into this SDI system, like the Constellation SDI that I have behind me, but it's working nicely. What else before I launch in here? It is strange not to see some sort of like how to work this little mini guide whenever you open the box. You kind of, sometimes you want to play around a little, but it does say on the box here that if you want a manual, no, it barely says it on the box there, but if you want a manual and stuff, you need to go to the website and check it out. It also says in the help guide or manual, whatever, that you can use your own remote. So you can see there's like a little IR receiver there, the red square. But personally, I didn't get that to work myself because I don't actually have any remotes lying around here that that would work for. I'm hearing some feedback on my phone, so I'll just move that out of the way and get rid of it. Alrighty, so that's a little look at the BirdDog Play. I mean, the interesting thing about it is as long as you plug it in and it works, then you're pretty happy with it and you never have to look at it again. Of course, if you plug it in and it doesn't work, then you have some problems. But I was quite happy to see that as soon as I launched into the little web controller here and set it up for that NDI decode source, I didn't really have to do anything. One note here is that you can set up a backup option as well, so something for it to go to. Interestingly, I found that it didn't work. It didn't play well with my my NDI camera that is from BirdDog here. Let me see if I can make that work again. So here's what you're seeing whenever I chose that stream. I may have to restart that camera and push out a different NDI feed, but it didn't look so happy there. So instead, I launched in and I set it up for vMix instead. And now I've changed that source. I'll give it a few seconds. It boots, or maybe it reboots and grabs a new source. I'm not entirely sure what's happening there. And now it's back to that vMix NDI source over the network. Alrighty, the time has come for my questioner to ask me any questions that are coming in so far. So, do we have any questions?
Let's start with a more of a like discussion comment.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm gonna just apologize ahead if I say any names wrong. Try my best.
Fair.
Okay, from Nils Brownie. BirdDog probably couldn't hit the USD 150 price point with PoE.
That is a good discussion point. Yeah, I think there was some PoE discussion happening there before we got to that point. And One of the things that it doesn't have in the box is PoE abilities. So you do have to set up the network and the USB connection. It does come with this nice little flat USB cable here. But I didn't look into this, but I'm guessing what the chat is saying is that it's missing PoE, which is a shame. For me, it doesn't really matter that much. I don't have any PoE stuff in my setup. I don't even have a PoE switch or anything like that. So I would have no value from it. But in order to keep that price down, I guess they skipped the PoE section of it. Any more questions about the BirdDog NDI related things?
Yes. This one from Tanshule Jobman. Here to record. What is the latency of bird play compared to SDI, e.g. BMD video router?
That's good. Yeah, I did explain before we went live that there'll be lots of terms that you don't know or care about. So over time, these terms will, maybe you'll learn these terms and you'll be super happy about that, I'm sure. Yeah. So what's the latency of the BirdDog Play compared to the SDI? Oh, I don't know. Actually, I just opened the box for the device before I went live for this stream. So let me see. If this might be I can set it up and you have to at home pause and see what the difference is. But if I set up a timer here to do the current time of day, or can I do that? Let me see here. I don't know if I can, if I have a timer that will be accurate enough to really give you a good decision on this, but that is my timer. Okay, let me see if I've got this right now. So I have that, and then over on my computer in the background here, I will output that same thing via NDI, which should be there. And then, this is fun to watch me try and find the right buttons, isn't it? Okay, so let me just get rid of your comment here. Click the wrong button. There we go. So now, what you're seeing, the bigger timer there is coming from, is overlaid on my ATEM via SDI. And then the smaller timer within the black rectangle is, let me think about this, is coming over NDI and then through the same path. So there is a difference there, but I don't think that I can't make the timer update any more often than that, so you can get a really good rating. But you can see there is a slight difference, right? Maybe someone paused and can see a rough idea of the difference, or I should be able to get a timer that updates more regularly than that. But for now, that might be yeah. Well, Franklin here saying 100 millisecond difference. Yeah. So if the timer was refreshing a little faster, you could see a difference. It is rounding off and updating every 50 milliseconds ish, that timer. So it won't be 100% accurate, but it's pretty close. And this would be a case where you want to stick with SDI, or sorry, a network connection on here. I don't know if the BirdDog box has NDI, or not, sorry, NDI, Wi-Fi. Let's see if it does. If it does, I would still skip the Wi-Fi, but a network connection will do you much better, I'm sure. Let's see in here, system settings, maybe. I can set up a password, set up the system update. Nothing in there about, oh yeah, sorry, network tab. Of course, that would be the place to check, wouldn't it? So in here, yeah, I don't see at a glance a way of connecting it up to Wi-Fi. So I suppose it is only wired connection, which is perfect. I would stick with the wired connection anyway. So you're going to see a better result over a cable than you would over Wi-Fi. So that's good. It seems to me on this cursory glance that they skipped any sort of Wi-Fi in here, which is cool. Yeah, IT never gets old here. About 0.1 seconds. Nice. when I pause the video, it's the same number. It might be exactly when you paused it. I'll have to do some more tests on that. I can't definitively say during this quick little test I did there. Cool. Any more questions about BirdDog NDI?
Yes, from Dirk. There's been some discussion of this. So Dirk Price. What would be your choice, NDI or SDI? NDI is great for powering cameras and get electricity to the cameras with a single cable run. And then it's been some helping in the comments, but you can get your answer.
My choice, for the most part, I would choose the SDI route as much as possible. I've been working in a studio over the last few weeks, and I have posted some photos on Instagram and stuff, sort of behind the scenes, and it's a full NDI setup, NDI Panasonic cameras, NDI to and from those into the computer, into the vMix computer, and then NDI is pushed around the building or around the room as well for other connections. And it's one of those things that it works when it works, and then it doesn't when it doesn't. And I find quite hard to troubleshoot exactly what the problem is if things go wrong. So when you're running an SDI cable between a camera and a capture card on a computer, for example, and it doesn't work, then you can try several things really quickly. To me, it feels a lot faster. For example, take out the SDI cable and try a new cable and see if that works, or restart the camera. Okay, well, maybe that's all the things that comes to the top of my head of things to try. But for NDI, in my experience, restarting the camera and seeing if that works is one of the fixes, and then trying to work your way through the network structure within a building or a setup can be a little bit more time consuming than a quick fix to make a camera work. So in my experience, most of the time SDI has served me better than an NDI, and that really comes down to whenever issues pop up. That being said, though, there's a lot of advantages having an all NDI setup, just like that studio that I'm talking about that I'm working in recently. Being able to, on another computer, quickly pull up one or many of the cameras and do a different sort of mix and use those, as long as all of the infrastructure has been set up nicely to work well with NDI, and there's enough overhead for all that NDI traffic to be pushed through the network, then a well-designed system should work quite nicely for that, and it can be very flexible for sure. Although, in the end, a mixture of both is a really good idea. Having NDI-based cameras, but having a way for it to be brought in via SDI, or vice versa, is quite a nice solution, because that way, if something goes wrong, you have the other one to fall back on. And putting all of your hope into one thing working all the time, for live streaming especially, is always quite nerve-wracking. But I'm sure everybody has many ideas and thoughts, as they were discussing in the chat, and thanks for that. Any more questions for me?
We have one from IT Never Gets Old. John, can it dynamically clean flip between NDI sources? Can you use Companion to change NDI sources?
Good question. I haven't tried the clean flip. Actually, we can do that right now, though, just to see if it's a usable clean flip. Let me just hide your comment real quick, and what I can do is hop back into the NDI source here and add myself on there, and then I'll show you the NDI source. So if I if I flip between the two sources here, you can see yourself if it's going to clean flip. So I'm going to go to the other timer one in 3, 2, 1. And that was quite nice. It worked quite well there. So since I am pushing a feed from a consistent feed from vMix here, and then switching between those sources within vMix, it's getting that clean signal change, which is great. However, my assumption would be that if I wanted to switch between two sources on my network via the BirdDog cloud tool, then it would not be as clean as that. So if I go back over to my camera here, I'm pressing all the buttons today, switching between all of the cameras, and I think I showed this just a little bit before there, but the switch between two sources in here is not quite so smooth. Let me see, do I have anything on output 2 here? Maybe just a black signal. Yes. I'm just going to show you a question up again. And now, on the left-hand side there, you're looking at a feed coming out of vMix, which is a completely separate feed. And in my BirdDog tool now, just behind the scenes here, I will switch to a different feed within the tool that they have, waiting a few seconds to see if it updates, and you can see that switch there happens, but instead of a clean switch from before, you can see the BirdDog logo and stuff for a while. So I wouldn't head down that path if I was wanting a clean switch. Instead, I would send an NDI feed to it from, for example, vMix or some other piece of software or hardware, and then within vMix, I'm switching between the sources and controlling what gets sent to the BirdDog Play. They say that they have a API on the website, so you could, in theory, control it from Companion if someone builds that module. Maybe they already have, but I suspected it wouldn't be clean. You'd want to switch between sources going out of, for example, OBS or vMix or something like that, if you want that clean setup. More questions for the BirdDog Play?
No one for the BirdDog Play. Other questions?
Okay.
Would you like one?
I think that first one is from BirdDog Play.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Go for it.
From Devon Lee. Trying to get CEC control to work on my Play, but can't get it to show. Do you or anyone here know how that works?
That is something I was wondering as well. And I think the way that it describes CEC is it's not something that I've really used in the past, but it's this little IR receiver in the front here. I don't have any, if I'm onto the right thing here, I don't have anything that I can point at it and try that. And so I'm not sure at all how that's set up. Potentially someone has already answered that in the chat, or we don't know, or maybe it's not fully implemented, but it is set as a feature on their site, on their website. Let me see here. I keep going to that camera shot. I'm just obsessed with that camera shot. Let me see. Where is it? Yeah, CEC control. Bring your own remote. I wanted to use this remote, which came with my BirdDog camera, but I suspect that one does not have the CEC built in, since whenever I hold it up close to the remote here, or the play here, nothing actually happens on the output. So I don't have any remote to try. There is one at home, but I didn't bring that today. And we don't have any, I guess it's like those TV remotes and stuff that, unless I'm completely wrong about built-in CEC, in which case I should probably read the manual on that and see what happens. Okay, I think that concludes our BirdDog Play chit-chat. I'll save any other questions for a bit later, because I wanted to dig into Companion V3 just real quickly, since it's not actually something that's released yet. Let me think about this now. If I go to, I'm just going to load it up on my computer here and see where it's running at. I don't think I've showed this at all on the stream yet, Companion V3. So I am running a beta of it, and you can download that from the Companion website, where you can download other versions of Companion. And what comes with V3 is a lot of nice improvements, I must admit. It is a very different, in some ways, very different way of controlling devices. So for example, in the right-hand side here, things look a bit different, where you have the notion of steps. So you can step through actions, and you can run step 1 and then step 2 and step 3 and set up these stepped style actions. You can also set up things that are called duration groups. So if you press and quickly release a button, something happens. And then if you press and hold that button for longer than 1 second, here's what should happen. And this is something that David Joshua Ford's been playing with in a much more time-consuming way before, I think, compared to this. So now you can do all that stuff sort of by default. But one of the things that I've added, if you're willing to give it a go, I'm really interested in hearing your thoughts. I have rewritten the H2R Graphics module for V3 specifically, and with that comes some nice new features, which are ones that people have asked for a while, which are better variable support. So for example, now you can, and this is one thing that someone or people have been asking for a long time, is the ability to use the list 1.1, 1.2, etc. variables within companion buttons. So now I can copy paste something like a list 1.1 and use that in a button here. Let's see. So now you can see that Simon Parker there has just populated that button, and that is a list variable within H2R Graphics. I'm not sure if it's in this project. Yeah, it is. There we go. So now if I was to change this to John Barker instead, then I come back and the button now says John Barker, which is quite nice. So you can pop through list variables and update them into Companion. I wanted to bring it up because if you are someone who loves to live on the edge and test beta software, then V3 is in beta. It has been for a few months now, and I believe they're getting closer and closer to release, but people trying it and testing it will help. So it even says on the top here, this build is experimental. If you've got a big show coming up, do not take this advice. But if you're just, relaxing today, not much else to do, then this would be a good day for, in fact, I think it's a holiday in the US today, so perfect day for you to spend the rest of the afternoon testing out V3, and you can even download the latest build of Companion V3 and test out the new H2R Graphics module in there as well. That would be really kind of you to try. And one other thing just to throw out there that I just added to H2R Gear this past weekend is a new offer within the or a new option, within the pricing here, where you can now do event-based pricing. So for example, and this has been asked many times over the years, I just never had a chance to add it until this very weekend. So now instead of signing up for a monthly subscription, if you'd prefer to just use the pro features in H2R Gear for the next weekend because you have a big important show coming up and you really want to print out and export the plans or share them with other people, then you can do that, or add zones and all that fun stuff. So you can now just a one-off, no subscription, pay for the pro features, and then whenever you pay, a sort of a clock starts ticking in the background, and for the next 10 days you get access to all those pro features, and then after that it goes back to the account that you had before, and if you need it again in a few months' time, then it's a good thing to have for occasional users of H2R Gear, and you don't think that a monthly subscription is fully needed, then try it out. That will be the end of my sales pitch for today. Do we have any last final questions before we wrap things up and go to the post show?
We have one from G, who's been here now for a while, so
Okay.
it's going to be a lot of just letters for me to read out.
Do it.
G asks, can I bring cameras into ATEM Mini Pro ISO RO OBS via RTMP over Ethernet? Essentially a streaming bridge.
Good question. Can you bring cameras into ATEM Mini Pro RTMP over Ethernet? No. If I'm reading the question right, then the answer is no. There's no way to bring a camera in to the ATEM via RTMP. But if you were to set up an OBS output with a HDMI from your computer into the ATEM and do like a full screen, I think they call it projector mode or something like that, then and then you could RTMP into OBS. I don't think that would work either, actually. As far as I could tell, and maybe it's my reading of the question, but that would not work? ATEM to OBS, you're following up saying. Oh, I see. You want to go from the ATEM and stream to OBS like a... Yeah, I don't think that would be something you could do. IT Never Gets Old says you could use a device like a Magewell Pro Converter to bring an RTMP to the ATEM. No, I don't think I fully get the question. So feel free to email me. Actually, go over to the website and reach out, and you can explain it even more, and we can figure out if there's a way to do exactly what you mean. Or an alternative, which is an even better solution, I think, is to head into the Discord and find the channel about the ATEM. I'm sure that someone will have a good idea of a way to solve that. I just didn't have a good idea in the moment. Okay, last question I see pinned here for the day.
Yes. From Tim Tech Streaming. Have you tried benchmarking the play against the BirdDog Flex 4K out? The Flex seems to decode a few frames quicker when I've tested.
I have not done that because I only have two BirdDog devices here. I have this, the play that we've been looking at today, and a camera over there. I've never actually got my hands on the Flex devices, but they are more expensive than this, so it stands to reason that they would decode a few frames quicker, which is good. I think they're more expensive. They must be more expensive. It's been a while since I looked at the pricing of those, so that makes sense that they would be a little bit faster at the decoding. But I have not tried that. For me, I would consider this device to be... I'm not sure yet if I would say it's a mission critical device. You know, if I had 5 cameras over NDI and I wanted to bring those into my totally HDMI setup and I sent them all into individual BirdDog plays, I'm not sure I would head that direction with it. I might consider this to be more of a monitor filler. So, for example, I have a monitor behind me and I might fill that with an NDI feed, and I'm not worried on it being super accurate and ready to go. In fact, one of the things I saw BirdDog announced at ISE this past week was their new video wall solution. So this would probably be a good use case for these play devices. My understanding of it is that you can good mega deals continue. Where did you go, video wall? It just disappeared on me there. Oh, it's like a carousel. My understanding of this solution from BirdDog is it's a piece of software that lets you define panels within multiple TVs or displays. So just in the background there, you can see they have 9 different TVs or monitors, and then if my understanding is correct, each of these 9 monitors here are behind this laptop are all powered are all connected to individual BirdDog Play devices, and then you use the software to display something different on each screen. Can I get close enough to this example here? Yeah, so for example here, a 4 play and video wall solution you would need 4 of these play devices, and then you would connect those 4 up to 4 monitors, and you'd also buy the software as well. And now you can, instead of 1 screen behind you, you could have 4 screens all playing the same video loop or something like that. For me, that's what these devices are really all about. And I would stick with the Flex 4K devices if I wanted to do actual camera decoding into a system and cut between those cameras and feel a bit more reliable about that. Okay, cool. That's all the questions we have time for on this live show. Join us for the post show if you want to stick around and chat some more. You can do that by getting a link to the Zoom call, which is for members of the channel only. So you can just join the channel, become a member, and then you'll get a link to the Zoom call in the community tab, and you can hang out some more with us and chit chat about BirdDog Play or whatever else pops up. We usually just chit chat about whatever comes to mind. So join us there. We're doing that right now. And I guess thanks to you, Sunny, for answering or asking the questions. It's good to have you help out. Any last words? No.
No, thank you.
No last words. Okay, cool. Where did I put my little end of show credits? Yes. Thanks to all of the viewers here, but thanks to the Supreme supporters as well. Jeremy, Revolutionary Lightboards, Marlon, and Jim at Cloud Bedrock as well. Good to have you all supporting the channel and all your faces for being here watching live. I will see you in the next live stream next week. Until then, bye bye. See ya.